You have ever had a pair of Nikes? Almost everybody has owned something that has had the famous Nike logo on it. But most of you may not know the history behind it. Before there was Nike, there were two men with a dream of a lighter, faster, better shoe. It's amazing that such a small idea could turn into the multi-billion-dollar industry that Nike is today. It all started with a handshake between two men, Bill Bowerman, the track and field coach at the University of Oregon in the 1950s, and a middle distance runner under him, Phil Knight. The famous company officially began in 1972. From that moment on, Nike created a revolution in sports, sparking a new generation in the shoe industry. Let's start with a little history behind Nike. If you didn't know, Nike is the Greek goddess of victory. And in 1963, Nike persuaded the manufacturer of Tiger shoes, a shoe manufacturer in Japan, to make Nike a distributor of Tiger running shoes in the United States. When the first set of sample shoes arrived, Nike sent several pairs to Bowerman for sale. Instead, Bowerman asked Nike if he could be his partner and provide footwear designs for the company. Nike and Bowerman joined together in January 1964, and they formed Blue Ribbon Sports. They sold the Tiger shoe in the back of vans at track meets. They eventually grew tired of selling the Tiger shoe, however, and they started to tear apart the shoe and make innovations to it. And they let the runners from the Oregon track team try them on to see what they liked. This was the foundation for Nike. But Bowerman and Knight both had full-time jobs, so this made it hard for them to manage the growing requirements of Blue Ribbon Sports. So they hired Jeff Johnson, a runner at Stanford that Knight had known before. Johnson became the first full-time employee of Blue Ribbon Sports in 1965. He opened the first Blue Ribbon Sports retail store in California, and he also designed several early Nike shoes. Around the same time, Blue Ribbon Sports and Onitsuka were falling apart. Knight and Bowerman were ready to make the jump from being a footwear distributor to designing their own brand of athletic shoes. They selected a brand mark today known internationally as a swoosh. It was created by a graphic design student at Portland State University named Caroline Davidson. The new Nike line of footwear debuted in 1972, just in time for the U.S. track and field trials, which were also held in Eugene, Oregon. One particular pair of shoes made a different impression on the runners. It featured a new invention that Bowerman drew from his wife's waffle iron. They had an outsole that had waffle-type nubs for traction, but were lighter than traditional shoes. With a new logo, new shoe, and new business, the company needed an athlete to endorse. Where better to look than in Oregon? They found a young man that goes by the name of Steve Prefontaine. He filled the stands of Oregon's Hayward Field during his college career from 1969 to 1973. He never lost any race at his home track over the 1 mile distance, and he quickly gained exposure thanks to cover stories on magazines like Sports Illustrated. Now that you know the beginning of Nike, let's get into the rise of the company. As explained in the article in Nike Incorporated, Nike entered the 1980s on a roll. By the end of 1980, Nike completed its initial public offering and became a publicly traded company. Nike was a leader in the shoe industry at the time, and they had two major shoes coming up. The patented Nike Air Max shoe was one of them, and it was a major hit. It used a much larger air conditioning unit than the original Air Forces, and for the first time it was visible at the side of the midsole. This was the first of many generations of Air Max branded technologies. The shoe even had a television ad that featured the Beatles. They played their first hit song, Revolution. This was the first and only time that a song performed by the Beatles was used in a TV ad. Another hit came in 1984 when Nike signed Michael Jordan to an endorsement contract and released the first model of his signature shoe, the Air Jordan. The Air Jordan shoe produced millions in revenue. I know that some of you are wondering right now, how this affects you, but many of you do not know how much Nike influences our culture in America. Nike has influenced America's idea on athletics. For example, Larry Hinkner, a professor at Virginia Tech, is quoted in an article saying, "Nike is interchangeable with the word exercise in popular American discourse." In fact, Nike has even woven their symbol into the USA track and field and national soccer teams' jerseys. Nike has also influenced our view of life. Nike promotes the idea of individualism. Basically, that someone should think they are better than someone else no matter what. I hope you have found the information and history of Nike as interesting to you as I did. So the next time you lace up a pair of Nikes in the morning, remember the history behind it, and all the hard work and dedication that it took to get where it is today. Nike holds proof that people can do anything if they truly believe in their ideas like Knight and Bowerman did. Nike created a revolution in sports, sparking a new generation in the shoe industry. So I inspire you to dream big after hearing this speech and become legendary.